Hi, good day, and this is another episode of Dynamic Digi. I'm sorry for the very bad lighting because I'm in my car, um, just going for a little drive. Um, okay, this I want to talk about the incident with Milo Yiannopoulous, um, who is a British-born, I guess you have to say United States-based columnist for Breitbart.com, and so he's a compatriot of mine. I guess I'm British too, as you can probably tell from my accent. But basically, he classifies himself as a online provocateur. So he's not a troll in the strict sense, but then he his role or agenda, if one wants to use that term, is to expose, how can I put it, the politically correct agenda of contemporary, shall I say, political, social, and academic discourse. What I mean by that is things such as like the social warrior justice movement, safe spaces on campus, and you have to say that much of what is stated in the common media with regard to things such as race relations, gender relations, sexuality, gender identity, are really promoted by extreme positions or groups, and I'll explain further what I mean by that. Say, for example, video games. Now, I think many people play video games. Is it right to say that all video games are dangerous or video games are harmful? In my opinion, no. Because I think, as I said, many people play them, and it's wrong to say that they always cause damage. There's very few documented cases, literally in the history of mainstream video games. This is going back almost 40 years, where people have played a violent video game and have gone to shoot people in consequence of that. Many mass shootings that have happened have been due to bullying, or I suppose Columbine, that's a long time ago, Columbine now, almost 17, 18 years ago. Nonetheless, that wasn't due to video games per se. The Elliot Spitzer, that was probably 4 or 5 years ago now. I have no choice, because that should not be. Bouncing. Sorry, I sound like I'm mumbling to myself, but the road where I am is very dark. I don't want to hit anyone or hit anything. Yeah, sorry about that. But yes, the Elliot Spitzer shooting, all the shooting, the Orlando shooting very recently over the past few months. These had nothing to do with video games. Most people who play video games, whether teenagers, adults, it's a hobby. That's ultimately what it is. It's something you do for fun, for entertainment. It's a hobby, nothing more, nothing less. So, also the safe space culture. This isn't meant to be a political rant. I suppose I'm going, on too much of a tangent, but nonetheless, I just want to give a background as to who Milo Yiannopoulous is. He also says he's gay, and that's also part of his, I won't say agenda because that sounds a bad word, but certainly part of his narrative, in that he thinks some parts of the gay rights movement, do pander to this kind of unhealthy thing. And you can see it also, safe spaces on universities. I think that is something many people do think that are not appropriate, because if you're in university, you should really be how can I put it, you're an adult, so you should really start to have a greater appreciation for for different schools of thought. For instance, and I promise this will be the end of the tangent. For instance, if you're studying a course on medieval warfare and the effects on societies, is it wrong to mention that medieval peoples, doesn't matter which one, it could be the Norse or the Vikings, it could be the Anglo-Saxons, it could be the Franks like Charlemagne, it could be the Normans, it could be the Angevins, it could be the Holy Roman Empire, it could be the 100 Years' War. It doesn't matter which major medieval conflict or peoples or whoever. It could be the Kievan Rus, who are like the progenitors of modern Russia, and the Ukraine or wherever. They all engaged in rape and pillage as a part for the course, either in warfare or as part of the spoils or booty of warfare. So if you have a student who is a rape victim, does that mean you cannot mention something that was inherent to medieval warfare, even warfare today? It has to be said to a large degree, so they would not be offended. But that's again, you're not doing it to hurt people. You're doing it because that is inherent, intrinsic, and part and parcel of the content. So yes, as I say, the tangent's ending now, but I'm just going to give a background as to, you can probably do some research, not just on Milo Yiannopoulous, but on the whole concept of this kind of ultra left thing. This isn't meant to be political. No, obviously, my channel's tech based, digital marketing / tech based, but nonetheless, it is something you should check out, because I think there is a lot of truth in the fact that much of contemporary social political discourse doesn't go in a healthy means. But I end of tangent, that's by the by. But the thing is, Milo Yiannopoulos, due to the recent Ghostbusters film, there was something on him on Twitter which he was banned for life, and my view in that is that the banning for life, due to, he criticised one of the lead actresses in the Ghostbuster films. I think her name is Leslie Jones, by saying, was not a good film by a black dude. Now, obviously, that's insulting. Yes, I suppose that is rude and mean, but what happens is that the followers of Milo, obviously those who know Twitter know that you can follow anybody. The followers started to post, I would have to say, very racist things like gorilla photos, and I'm black myself, so I can say this, big-lipped coon, and all sorts of vile stuff and vile, pardon my language, vile shit. So Milo in that case now has been banned for life, essentially, because they say he's inciting problems. Now, I think as a digital marketer, obviously, as it's on Twitter, which is part of the bread and butter of any digital marketer, or should be really, is one of the biggest social networks, obviously. Yeah, it's one of the biggest social media networks, so you should, any digital marketer should be involved in it. I believe that it should be, Twitter is a private network, so it has the right to determine any rules it wants, obviously within the law, but even still, it still has that purview as a private network to determine any rules it wants. And to be fair, Milo, Mr. Yiannopoulos has said so as such, because that's a fact, you can't get around that. Now, one can say it's in the spirit of freedom of expression. So whilst what Twitter has done is not unlawful per se, or illegal, one can argue it's not in the spirit. However, after taking this instance a balanced view, because I don't usually take middle of the road views. I think you should either be for or against something. That sounds very absolutist, but then I don't know. In this case, I'm going to take an exception. I'm going to sit on the fence, which I believe generally you should do as a principle. I think personally that I can see both sides of the situation. And to be fair, I think essentially there should be warnings. And I think people should use good discretion. You know, Milo Yiannopoulous, I see his videos on YouTube. You know, he's currently doing a campus tour in the United States, where he talks about how, you know, this extreme political correctness is damaging Western society, and I have to agree with him. I think it is. I don't think it's really a healthy thing for our culture. However, I think people have to use bloody hell. People have to use good judgment and good discretion in what they do online, because you know, people know Mr. Yiannopoulous. I won't say anything he says is truly offensive. He says nothing that is racist or sexist or I suppose homophobic won't make sense because he's gay himself, or anything, you know, transphobic. He is a bit anti-Islam, but largely because obviously he is gay himself. He thinks that too much of an Islamic influence will be damaging for him, for obvious reasons. You know, like most Abrahamic faiths, Islam is not very shall I say, tolerant of homosexuality. Obviously in the Quran, just in the Bible, it says, you know, it's a sin. However, I think people need to know that he is a provocateur, and I think people need to use good judgment in what they perceive him and his views to be. So if they know that what he says can be a bit edgy, if not grossly if not necessarily grossly discriminatory on others, which I don't believe in my personal view it is, then people have to use good judgment. In that sense, I would say the ban is harsh, because I think, you know, in any media you read, it could be, or you consume, it could be film, it could be TV, it could be radio, it could be a book, it could be a magazine, it could be online, a website, or social media accounts. Again, you have to use your own good judgment in how you utilize that. So what really is a lesson here for digital marketers from this? Because obviously, as Twitter is one of our bread and butter, networks or part of our industry. I think this is something we need to be cognizant of. I'd personally say that I wouldn't necessarily say discretion, but I think the lesson that we can learn here is that it is I think it's discretion in how we not so much how we use, but I think how we relate to our users and how we properly engage our users online. I'm going to continue this in the next part because my phone is reaching the limit for recordings, so I'll see you very soon. Thank you for listening.